today is Dr. Marcelle Crinean, an eating psychologist and solution-focused hypnotherapist. You joined me, hi, welcome back.
Hello, hello.
You joined me in the first series to help explain why a positive mindset had was so beneficial to a healthy lifestyle, and of course how it actually affected our health. And now you're back for series 2, where I'm talking fertility and menopause. Okay. And you're going to be sharing not only your professional, but also your personal experience on and around mindset around this time in our life, around fertility, around menopause, and just the hormonal fluctuations in general, right? Yeah. So first of all, your professional opinion. So throughout the series, I've been talking about the hormonal fluctuations that happen during your cycle. I've discussed how that hormonal fluctuation physiologically is causing changes in your metabolism, your energy levels, and then how, of course, you should work with that is happening naturally to best balance it out. So, of course, diet and exercise have an influence on all of that, and obviously if you tweak those, you can improve that. But one of the common symptoms, of course, around PMS, particularly in your cycle, and even menopause, there's similar symptoms, is the mood fluctuations, right? Mm-hmm. Now, we know physiologically that comes from the sudden drop in estrogen and progesterone. So we know physiologically there's something happened. Yeah. But surely, it can't just be done that I'm moody or I'm in a bad mood just because of my hormones. Surely I have a bit more control.
Yeah, we do, right? So when we have that drop in our hormones, we tend to, so first of all, lots of things happen. As you know, our body temperature increases slightly. Yes. That can cause us to sleep a little bit worse, right? Yeah. We tend to, when our body temperature is uncomfortable. And we know that, changes in our sleep pattern is going to affect our stress levels, in terms of the cortisol that's in our body. So we might find ourselves with the kind of standard symptoms that we get when we have a full stress bucket, which is kind of what I talked about the last time. So we might find that we start to get a little bit more worried. Or for me personally, certainly I became that angry person. I would get really bad-tempered.
Yeah, I'm snappy, very snappy.
Very snappy, okay, which is a sure symptom of being in our primitive brain rather than our thinking brain. Or sometimes weepy, like in that kind of sad thing, right? Suddenly bursting into tears, exactly, for no reason, which again is a sure sign that you're in your primitive emotional brain and not your logical thinking brain. So at that point, you can acknowledge that, okay, this is my hormones.
Sure.
So how can I think about this from a logical perspective? Okay, it's just my hormones. You're going to feel a little bit angrier. You're going to feel a little bit more anxious. What can I do to create serotonin, that kind of chemical that's going to keep me focused on happier things?
Yeah, so this is why when I, in an earlier episode 1, where I actually talk about what's happening in those cycles, I talk about when that happens, particularly in the phase in your cycle coming up to menstruation, when that all happens, is to energetically, you're just a little bit all over the place. It's probably best not to engage in activities where you're going to be confrontational, because you're not going to react positively. So doing the bubble baths and the more passive exercises and the things where you just non-confrontational is probably a good idea around that time.
Really so, exactly right. So just know that you're going to react more quickly. You're going to react from the emotional brain. So do things that are going to keep you a little bit set. What I would say is keep perspective, right? And keeping perspective is you using your rational brain. Yeah. So if you know you're going to be a little bit grouchy, or you know you're going to be weepy, which you are, it's inevitable, then avoid the things that are going to make you grumpy. But here's the thing. Our thoughts, by thinking and predicting, I'm going to go to there and I know what that person's I know what they're going to do. And you're already feeling grumpy before the things even happened.
Yeah, you've talked yourself into it.
You've talked yourself into it. So then it's even more important to really get perspective on your thoughts. Yeah. Start challenging any of those, what I would call crooked thoughts, those thoughts where you're predicting the future with absolute certainty, well, none of us can do that.
No.
You know, we're mind reading. Oh, I look so fat in this, and everybody's gonna know that my, you know, that my period's about to start. Whereas, well, you don't, and you can't mind read.
So is it, if you know you're going to be like that, like I know I can get a bit snappy, and sometimes it kind of catches you unawares, where you'll find yourself react, well, I'll find myself react or really snap or be overly harsh.
Yeah.
Say, for instance, with my son. Now, ordinarily, what I've reacted to still warrants a telling off, but the way I reacted was too much.
Yeah.
It is okay, right, to kind of apologize or turn around and go, sorry, I'm just a bit oversensitive at the minute. Should we just leave that? I mean, I don't, because what I've done in the past is I know that maybe I've walked away from the situation and then potentially gone back and said, look, I'm sorry, I was just being overreacted, but I was upset when you did X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
But that's hard. It's so hard.
It's really hard. I think you're right, definitely apologise. But to not put, I mean, what could you do differently to not put yourself in that situation?
Yeah, just walk away, not rise to it. Isn't
so
it?
Think about it in advance.
Yeah,
that's what I would say, which is, again, step into that logic and brain, kind of go,
yeah, not get into that position
exactly
where you're caught
right.
out.
Exactly
okay.
Right. So certainly with my husband, I would, if I knew that I was going to be a bit snappy, I would warn him in advance, and I would just say, look, I might say something.
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm really sorry if I do.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm feeling a bit hormonal or whatever it might be.
But I'm mindful here of not using excuses.
Exactly right. And,
because then we play into, and this is one of the discussions I've had in episode 2 in the series, with someone who I was talking about cultural and societal attitudes towards menopause, periods, all of that.
Yeah.
You just then play into that thing of, oh, she's got her period, you know what she's like.
Exactly.
You have to be careful of
really
driving that.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to say next, which is, again, it's a mindset thing. So if what you have decided with absolute certainty that you're going to be angry or you're going to be miserable, then guess what? You're probably going to be angry or miserable. Sure. Whereas if you convince yourself nothing terrible is going to happen.
Yeah.
Have a positive mindset. So think about the things that you're grateful for. Think about the good things that have happened in your day. Do some exercise. Get in the fresh air, you know, those kinds of things. Spend time with friends and supportive friends. All of the things that we know will help you create serotonin. There's no reason why you should feel grumpy or miserable. You don't have to let that dictate.
And I'm just thinking, if you're taking care of the other things, as we've also covered in the previous series about everything helps everything else. So if you're wary that, right, this is the sort of week where I'm coming up to my period, and so I just need to take it easy. Let me go do the more passive, lower intensity exercises, maybe the yoga classes, maybe the walk in the woods. So already you're doing those things which remove you from, in a way, company, but any sort of volatile situations anyway. So you reduce the chances of it happening. And then if you are still come back to home and the kids are, you know, running a riot or whatever, you perhaps have a little bit of reserve of just, okay, let it go. I know this is upsetting for me. Yeah.
Just all of the normal things that you would do if you were feeling a little bit stressed or a little bit anxious. But I mean, let's take an extreme version. So somebody who maybe is feeling hormonal and it's going to make them crave sugary type foods, right? I quite often, from an eating psychology perspective, have clients coming to me saying, oh, I'm on my period, so I've been eating chocolate or I've been craving. Well, here's the thing. Just because you have the cravings, it doesn't mean you have to do the thing. Exactly right. So again, that's about stepping into your logic, adult, rational brain and kind of questioning, okay, so you're right. Maybe my hormones are making me crave this kind of thing. If I eat the food, how am I going to feel when I do that? You know, is it really what I want to do? So what could I do instead of acting on the impulse? And we're human beings, right? The thing that sets us apart from all other animals is we don't have to act on impulse. We can think about it rationally. So, you know, maybe that's when you look at your nutrition and you start, you know, having a few more of the foods that are going to support you better with those cravings leading up to your to your
but
period.
even, and you've even said this before, is, but equally, if you think, no, I just want to just feel a bit taken care of and fussed over, and I'm going to have the chocolate and a tub of ice cream and watch a film, do it. But then do it without guilt. Do it because you wanted to do it.
But do it from a decision in place, not an acting on impulse.
Not an impulse, that's a good way to put it.
And that's what I would say is use your thinking brain to go, actually, no, I'm going to make the decision this time because I am feeling miserable. I have had a long day. Do you know what? I want it.
I want it.
But not from a kind of inner 5-year-old gremlin place, but from a real kind of, actually, no, I'm making that decision. And I get that when I have it, it's not going to suddenly make me half a stone heavier.
No.
And it's not going to suddenly mean that I'm never going to be able to stop eating ice cream because I've started.
Yeah.
As long as you accept it from that place, that rational perspective, no harm.
Exactly.
No harm done.
Exactly.
So actually, at some point, you kind of have to rein it in and go, no, actually, this is going to happen. What am I going to do to manage?
Sure.
How am I going to manage these better?
Sure.
There has to be a different way.
There has to be. And so I like that what you said, that yes, we do have control. You have a final say in whether or not you act on that impulse. And I will say, as we've covered in some of the other talks in the series, is that those hormonal fluctuations are happening, but the severity or debility, as it were, that can be for some women of those symptoms can be minimalized if you control all the other aspects of it. Well, control sounds so strong, but just be wary and mindful of what you're eating, how you're moving.
It happens. It's not a surprise. So plan for it. But do all the things exactly as you like. Be gentle with yourself. Be kind to yourself.
Work with yourself. You don't know what's happening.
But know that it's going to happen. And then change your mindset. It really is about changing your mindset.
And now we come to your sort of personal experience, but particularly with menopause and surgical menopause. That actually brought up our discussion as well about menopause is the cessation of your periods where you're now no longer able to reproduce. That's it. Your end of that biological function as a woman. And for some women, that's a real shock. For women, typically, if you've then had children and decided, okay, I only wanted 2 or whatever, you've kind of dealt with that, right? By the time you've had your 2 and you decide, I'm done with that. So by the time you get to menopause, you're kind of okay with that part of your, that sort of realization. But for some women, that can be a real issue. And your personal experience of that has been different too, hasn't it?
Yeah, so in terms of people who, so 2 personal experiences. So if we go to the kind of surgical menopause, so when I was 49, so I'm 51 now, when I was 49, I'd had a lot of problems with fibroids, which a lot of women do.
Yeah, sure.
And it kind of came to the point where I was going to have a hysterectomy.
Okay.
Now, at age 49, I wasn't even perimenopausal.
Oh, wow. So
I
symptoms.
had no symptoms.
You're still having a regular period.
Yeah, everything was normal, apart from the fact that I now knew I was going to have a hysterectomy. And I made the decision because I was coming up to 50. And, chances are the menopause is just around the corner. So I made the decision to have my ovaries removed and my cervix removed and just everything taken away, because then it was job done. And I made that decision because I thought, well, I don't need my ovaries.
No.
So I might as well get it over and done with. Now, at that point, it seemed like a great decision. But I'd heard all of these horror stories of the menopause and the hot flushes and the this and the that. So I kind of wasn't really looking forward to surgical menopause the next day, because literally once your ovaries are gone,
it's like
you're in menopause.
And
so the next day came, and the surgeon came to see me, and I had nothing. Like, I literally had nothing.
I remember saying to you, "Are you okay?
Yeah,
How are you feeling?"
And I had nothing. And the next day, I had nothing. Like, they get you out of bed and you're walking around. I was showering on the first morning after my operation. I was amazed how quickly they get you out of bed. And by the end of 1 week, I wasn't even on Nurofen. I wasn't taking ibuprofen. I wasn't taking anything. But still, the menopausal symptoms didn't come.
No.
And I waited, And I guess I didn't really know what the menopausal symptoms were supposed to be.
No.
So I was reading up on this whole list of, and I still had none. And when it came to my 3-month checkup, my surgeon was kind of going, I'm like, no, still nothing.
Still good,
still nothing.
Yeah.
And at that time, he decided to put me on HRT because for a whole pile of reasons that I won't go into and aren't really relevant for our conversation today. But like a very low dose, because our body actually, so our whole endocrine system requires estrogen, which I didn't know. Had I known that, I probably would have taken it earlier. But here's the thing. He was convinced that because I went into surgery with a positive mindset, actually wanting the surgery,
elective, right? You were conscious, you had made the decision.
I made the decision to go into menopause because I didn't have to.
No.
And actually I was because of kind of what I do for a living, I just embraced this as like the next chapter.
Yeah.
Brilliant. You know, bring it on.
And it's kind of taking control, because I know one of the things that plagues women going into menopause is that am I not? Am I there yet? So this is kind of nice.
I wanted the fact that I could control it.
And you knew that you were stepping through the door, and now it is such.
And I was really comfortable with that decision. And he was convinced that it was my mindset that was a huge part of my recovery, because I mean the scar healed. I mean, I had coffee with you like 2 weeks after having had surgery, and we just walked to the coffee shop, right? So I he was convinced it was mindset. So I think mindset has a huge part to play. A huge part to play.
It's, again, we're coming back to that, just that accepting
control. It was my control.
And accepting that what's going to be happening now and taking charge.
Or maybe I was just very lucky. I don't know. Who knows? But my experience so far of the menopause has been amazing. Yes, your body changes. Again, that's a complete another
thing for you to get your head around.
But in terms of the kind of the second part of that question, which is, so I had at age 50 made the decision that I didn't want children. Okay. So all through my life, I don't have children, but that was my choice. Now, perhaps if I had wanted them and tried to have them, I wouldn't be able to. I have no idea. But I was very comfortable with that decision.
So it's not like you tried, couldn't, and then thought, okay, well, you, before even anything, you were like, hey, I'm not going to have kids.
Not going to have kids. So age 50, probably age 50, I wasn't ever going to have kids. Like I wouldn't have chosen to have a child at age 50. And as I say, age 50, I imagine that choice would have been taken away from me anyway. But what then came out was kind of what we were discussing, which is I have a lot of friends, obviously similar age, who had hit menopause and were very similar to me. So they hadn't had children and they hadn't necessarily wanted children.
Sure.
But once the menopause came and the choice was taken away, they suddenly went into this grieving place where suddenly they were so upset at not being able to have children. Now, to me, in my rational brain, I was going, but you chose not to.
Yeah, you had a moment where you stopped and thought about it.
And the more I kind of talked to women of a certain age who haven't had children, the more I found this to actually be a thing. That, you know, yes, whilst it's, again, and it goes back to choice.
Yes.
Once I have, or as long as I have the choice to not have them, and I'm choosing not to have them, brilliant. But suddenly when I can't have them and my choice is taken away, suddenly that becomes the thing.
And so then you have to see whether you're mourning the loss of choice or the not having had kids.
And actually, if we think about it, that applies to so many things in life. Because women who can't have children, they become really sad because they don't have the choice to have the children, right? And I mean, you know, stepping outside of children for a second, it kind of applies to the biscuits, right? If you tell yourself you can't have it, suddenly you want it. Whereas if you're kind of going, well, I can have it, but I'm choosing not to, it's not a thing. So there's just kind of like one group of women that I'm particularly thinking of where we haven't really talked about it, and that's the people who have an early menopause. So, you know, a lot of people who
still thought they had a bit of time.
Exactly right. So maybe their menopause is hit in the 20s or their 30s, which can happen either through, well, just because it's happened, or sometimes, you know, through having cancer. It could be anything. But then that group of women can feel cheated.
Sure.
That, you know, their choice has been taken away.
Sure. Then
it really is about changing the mindset. Then that might be time to go see a therapist.
So there's different things, and I think you're right. It doesn't help to judge, and just to sort of to question what you want out of things, and not hold any regrets, and realize that you can.
You can have some control. You can take back control. As I say, it's about not acting on the chimp, not allowing the chimp to just kind of take over, and understand that, you know, you're a human being who has the ability to think before you act.
Think before you act.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. I'm sure we'll have you back in the next series.
Thanks for having me.